speaking of the Hall of Fame, Tay is in every Hall of Fame possible, I would think.
Right. What was the one she just got into? Some kind of World Songwriter Hall of Fame?
I would hope that was it.
Or was that Andrew Jones? I can't. Oh, that's.
Uh-oh. Are you spoiling us? Are you spoiling us? Uh-oh. Hello, Dan. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Troy. Happy football playoffs, whatever this holiday is.
It is NFC or NFL championship weekend, is it not?
Love it.
And unlike the MLB, you can't very well just buy your way into these things these days. Although the Rams are a pretty highly compensated team, but not so much the Seahawks or the upstart New England Patriots.
Well, I always struggle with that because until recently, the churn of teams to win the World Series, in NFL, salary cap or not, you see a lot of the same names. You see a lot of Eagles, you see a lot of Chiefs. Rams won not that long ago. Patriots won not that long ago, relatively. That's and the sad sacks remain sad sacks. The Browns, the Bengals, the Raiders, rest in peace, our Raiders. So salary cap doesn't fix everything, is what I'm saying. And I don't know.
Think about it this way, though. Okay, let's think about the Raiders.
Okay.
The Raiders have terrible front office. They've always had a terrible front office, right? And then maybe we could start to talk about like the Dallas Cowboys. They spend a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
They have a terrible front office. Terrible.
Yeah, no, I sometimes thought that you don't need a salary cap. You need a IQ cap. Spread some of the brains around the NFL and even things out because dumb teams are doing dumb things in perpetuity.
In perpetuity. That was a good one there, Dan. That's what Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank loves to say.
Oh, really? Okay. Did I say it correctly?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. He always says, "I will make you a deal. I will collect a dime on every sale, every dollar's worth of sale you make in perpetuity."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, see, good deal.
I do make a dime in perpetuity.
In perpetuity. I want to make a dime.
Yeah.
Especially if it was Amazon that he made that deal with. Can you imagine? So Dan, what's been going on in your world? I know we have the Hall of Fame to talk about, but what else has been happening?
Well, just a quick thing. One of the odd things in my job, because I've reached a certain age and have seen some things. But I end up writing a lot of obituaries, or helping to write a lot of obituaries, because institutional knowledge, these kids these days. So John Brody, the late, great John Brody, the Niners quarterback who I never saw play.
I heard.
He played, he's a star in the 60s. He was this MVP of the NFL in 1970. But I knew I had covered an event he did. There was a push for him to make the Hall of Fame a couple years ago from his family and his friends, and they did it at Kezar Stadium. Anyway, I knew just enough about him to help collaborate with Vic Tafer, one of our other athletic writers, and tell the story of this bygone player. And, the funny thing about obituaries is a lot of them are written in advance. And when I first started, the first one I ever did on that was Bill Walsh, because we all kind of knew he was sick and time was ticking. And I found it a little bit morbid or uncomfortable to write about this guy in advance. And I was kind of making phone calls to ask people like, hey, what do you think about when you think about Bill Walsh? Getting quotes in honor of his in advance of his obituary. And he lived a little bit longer than we expected, so we had plenty of time to get the story just right. And that's when I realized that's the beauty of it. Is you can have the story just right, just the right tone, all the right information, all the right places, and give the person their life and times a proper tribute. What happens sometimes, and this happened to me, if you don't have that done in advance and somebody dies at 9:00 on a Friday night, which is what happened to Orlando Cepeda, news broke on a Friday night, and you scramble and you do the best you can, but it's not this full accounting it's not the best you could do. So yesterday was John Brody. We didn't have anything ready, so we really scrambled, but I had written about him before and kind of had some stuff at the ready. But anyway, it's an odd thing. And I did that yesterday, and I think we did John Brody Right. And I don't. Do you remember him at all? I mean, we're
Oh,
too
yeah.
old to
Well,
see him, but
I know. I was just a youngster, playing high school football when John was playing. No, I do remember him through my mom. She was a big
okay.
Niner fan
Yeah.
way back in the day from the 60s. So she remembered John
Okay.
Brody.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm trying to think. Was he part of that $1 million backfield, or was that a
That
different?
was Y.A. Tittle, the
That
previous
was
one.
Wyatt Little. Okay, yeah.
Who I also did the obituary of back in my.
Well, did you?
Yeah. I had a. This is not what people signed up for. Hey, youngsters, I'll tell you a Y.A. Tittle story from the 1957 star of the 49ers. But I did this incredible. He was being honored by the the San Mateo County Historical Society, and they commissioned me to do an interview with him on camera because he was old and his mind was not sharp anymore. He had dementia, Alzheimer's,
Oh,
and they wanted to record something that they could play instead of a speech because getting up on stage and having him tell the story was not going to happen.
you never know. Yeah.
So I sit down in my chair, and we did. It's like the camera thing where I'm hooked up, he's mic'd up, we're looking at each other. I'd never met him before,
Yeah.
and he goes, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm Dan Brown. I'm representing the Historical Society. We're going to do a tribute for you, and I'm just going to ask you about your career. He goes, oh, okay, got it. And fiddle with my microphone, and he goes, who are you? What are you here for?
Oh
And
no.
at least 3 times in maybe a 2-minute span, I'm like, this is not going to go good.
No. Huh.
So lights, camera, action, and I go, hey, tell me about your hometown in Texas. Perfect storytelling.
Huh.
Tell me about what it was like your rookie year. Impeccable storytelling. And the stuff from the old days, he still had
The
it
old days.
ready, and he kept it coherent for, we could cut. So if he happened to we weren't playing the whole thing. So there was a couple times when a little bit wayward, but mostly his football memories were vivid and evocative and accurate, and they cut, and his family's crying. They said, we haven't seen him like this in years. And it was like the last interview we ever did. But
Wow.
it was incredible. I mean, it's just an incredible thing. I think the things that define you at that seminal moment in his life, football, was always going to be part of him. And he could always tell those stories. It was incredible.
Mhm. Wow, that's an incredible story, and from a health perspective too. That's why it's so tough with dementia and Alzheimer's,
Mm-hmm.
that you remember long-term memories,
Mm-hmm.
but not short-term memories.
Yeah.
Literally, people like you just said, who are you again? But then they can remember stuff 50 years ago.
50 years ago. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, and you mentioned those two quarterbacks, right? Y.A. Tittle, John Brody. The Niners have had quite a, I guess you could say, a blessing of great quarterbacks. I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
And then now you look at Purdy, and Purdy is like a stat machine. He doesn't get the notoriety that guys like Steve Young and Joe Montana did, but this guy QBR completion,
Right.
yeah, he's a stat machine. This guy.
It's so funny, the Brock Purdy. I'm a fan. I think he's the real deal. But because he looks like he does and plays like he gets a lot of
Yeah.
knocks, because I don't think he's
Yeah.
the rifle arm guy, and he was a low draft pick, and he has had some like all quarterbacks thrown some pretty bad interceptions. To knock on it, because anytime he does it, it's like, see, he sucks. But
Yeah.
the good has outweighed the bad with him, and like you say, the stats are incredible.
I love how he has that jump pass.
Yeah.
Remember Jeff Garcia used to have that literally jump pass.
Yeah.
How hard is that to throw the ball accurately with no feet, no base?
That'd be a good thing to call Jeff Garcia and say, what do you that specific thing? Because he was short. He was shorter, right? He was one of those guys that was probably listed at 6 feet, but probably wasn't. Like, he was like a data gap. Like, he was probably like 5'9". But he
yes, exactly.
he the jump pass. Yeah.
Yeah, my science card, like a baseball card, my science card has me listed as 6'2", but I'm not really 6'2". I'm only 5'11", so.
It's funny. I would always say I was 6'4", and in some recent doctor visits, they said, "Oh, you're 6'3". I'm like, "Yeah, I'm shrinking." And then last week I was 6'2.5".
Oh,
Am I
Dan!
80 years old all of a sudden?
What's going on?
I don't know.
What's going on here? You got to start stretching. Starts to do some stretching.
Stretching.
Hey, so were you covering the 49ers when Jeff Garcia was their quarterback?
I was. He was when I started covering them in 2003 full time, and he was the quarterback.
Okay.
And then they went through the dark. There was Tim Rattay. There was who was the UC Davis guy? Our UC Davis guy. What was that guy's name? Drawing a blank on the most famous Aggie alum.
Was that not Ken O'Brien? Who?
But he was UC Davis, but he was
UC Davis too, right? Who was that guy? Wow, that's some good trivia right there. The dark days, and then as they had all those types of quarterbacks, then you had Mike Singletary, you had Nolan, you had Chip Kelly was the coach at one point.
Right. So I had the confounding the Alex Smith to Colin Kaepernick transition was a stunning little thing to see play out, because you've got this buttoned up number one pick, and then this wild card Colin Kaepernick comes along, totally different skill set. So they changed the offense, and Alex Smith got hurt, got healthy again, and the Harbaugh said, "I'm sticking with Kaepernick," and they got him to the Super Bowl. But it was just such a wild
times, man. And there you were writing all about it.
Yeah, Alex Smith was much more media friendly. I mean, I got to say, just a quick thing on Kaepernick, because he's so polarizing, which we'll get to later when we start talking about Hall of Fame again. But Kaepernick was a little bit difficult with the media, except for the year he was doing the kneeling, which all of a sudden he became this eloquent spokesperson for his cause. People could disagree, agree, whatever, but he always was able to state his case in a compelling, articulate, thoughtful way. And where's that guy been with all of this? I was doing a story on Michael Crabtree, right? So
Crabtree.
I asked this was what Kaepernick was like in those days. I asked him a softball question, because I'm doing a story on Crabtree. So it's basically, hey, Crabtree's emerged as a favorite target for you. What is it about? What do you like about throwing to him? He's like, he gets open. I said, well, it seems like beyond that, you guys have a chemistry, and you kind of look to him first. Like, what's it kind of been like as your chemistry evolves? I throw him the ball, he catches it. All I'm looking for is a guy to say, like, Crabtree's been a great teammate for a quarterback. He's always in the right spot or whatever. Just say something nice about the receiver, and we'll move on with our lives. And he made that like I was badgering him. And it wasn't just me. Sometimes he would. Quarterbacks, they do a press conference after the game, and they're at the podium. But during the week, sometimes they would talk at their locker at a arranged time, because everybody needs the quarterback. Everybody else will be at their locker. You get them when you get them. But the quarterback, hey, he's going to talk Tuesday at 3 or Wednesday at 3:00. So we go gather around his locker, and we kind of wait for him, and he'd get there and goes, guys, I'm going to do it over at this other locker today. So everybody have to, like, all the camera people would have to call their stuff over.
He totally does that on purpose.
He did it on purpose.
Yeah, to rabble rouse.
Yeah.
And the thing was, honestly, the guy, great, physical talent, but he couldn't throw. He had a Tim Tebow windup, did he not? Right? I'm going to get the ball there.
Yeah, and his he was young. So some of the stuff he was young. So had he played longer, some of the stuff would have gotten squared away, including, I thought he was bad at reading the field. There's a famous game against the Rams where the guy was left uncovered, and he's kind of waving to Kaepernick before the snap. But Kaepernick had predetermined, I'm going to throw this guy on this play, and it would have been. It was like from their own like 5 or something. So it would have been a 95-yard touchdown pass if he'd just thrown it to the guy who was uncovered.
Well, I'm telling you, Jim Harbaugh had a Pete Carroll moment in that Super Bowl. They're at the goal line. Gore ran them all the way down the field. Our man, Frank Gore, who I called Al Gore because I loved Al Gore too. He invented the internet, which, I was involved in as well. So anyway, long story short, now, how in the world do you have Kaepernick passing that ball on a fade when you have Gore, that a Hall of Famer, just boom, he can bash his way in there?
That's 3 times in a row, right?
Yes.
It wasn't just once.
He was passing. Yeah. He was passing. He did a Pete Carroll.
Yeah. I'll be curious because Frank Gore is a Hall of Fame finalist and should get. There's some knocks despite his massive rushing totals. There's some knocks on him, and I don't think it's. But let's say he scores the winning touchdown in the final minute of the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that would have certainly made a little less sweating. I think he'll still get in, but I think that's the one of those things that would have been.
Isn't he number 3 in rushing?
Yeah.
Isn't it Emmett and then Walter and then him, right? Or no, sorry, Barry.
I'm gonna look it up while we talk here.
Yeah,
because I think it might be Emmett, Bettis, Gore, but I can't swear by it.
Bettis, yeah, because Barry didn't play long enough to get too high up there. Yeah, I've been watching these like Instagram things, and they show rushing title holders from 1940 to 2025, and then they show like, and it's like a live graph. Pretty cool stuff.
All right, deepest apologies to Mr. Payton, because you're exactly right. It was Emmett, Payton, Gore, Sanders, Adrian Peterson. Jerome Bettis is way down at number 8. So
AP. Wow. So if AP's in the Hall of Fame, yes, I believe. So Gore should totally be in the Hall of Fame.
Who's Adrian? I don't think. Not yet.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, I apologize for getting that Bettis thing so way off. It was in my head. Emmett, Payton, Gore, Sanders. So
Gore.
That's all pretty much the voters should need to look at. Is that top 4 rushing yards?
That's impressive. The guy had longevity.
Yeah, with some I've seen in Hall of Fame voting, it works against you. Like, oh, he's a compiler. He's a compiler. The guy just was around for a long time. So the thing about that is, with Gore, who I covered the entirety of his Niners career, is, I mean, longevity should count as a skill. That should not count against you. In the NFL, you're able to play a long time. That's not because of luck. And Gore was, you never saw that guy take a big shot. That guy would never get blown up. And we would talk about it sometimes. He says, you ever look at the, when he could decide, he says he just ran in a way that allowed him to avoid the big hit. He ran low. He didn't always run out of bounds, but he would angle himself as the blow was approaching, as he was about to get hit. He had a way of angling his body to minimize the damage.
So smart.
You never saw him stacked up. You never saw him blown up. And it was subtle. It was clever. But he's a guy that he was a football savant. He's probably the smartest football player I ever covered. And that's like, you wouldn't want him as your Jeopardy teammate. You wouldn't want him in Trivial Pursuit, but everything about football he could see. He just understood the game at a higher level, and it was incredible. So I give him more points for the longevity, because part of that was his brilliant. And he was an incredible blocker. He was an incredible pass protection guy, good pass catcher. All these things.
The ball too, yeah. He catch the ball. He was a guy. Yeah, I love that guy.
Like Terrell Davis, right? He had a spectacular career, but very, very short. So, that was kind of the two extremes. Like, he ran for 2,000 yards one year, and Gore kind of ran forever, but both are great in their own way.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. The avoiding a big hit thing. That was the whole thing about Emmett and also Walter Payton. That both of those guys, you never got a square hit on them. Yeah. Now Emmett had the best offensive line ever, so he was getting his hits from DBs and smaller players, but still, right? Emmett played a million years too, and was very durable. So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think Gore and Emmett's great. Gore definitely did not have that offensive line for most of his career.
No, he did. He had one guy, Joe Staley, right? And then that was pretty much it. I guess Ipatu, big number 7, right?
Mike Ipati, from Idaho.
Ipati, yes. Wow, look at us.
Well, I'm glad I can remember him, and I'm still trying to think of the UC Davis guy. It'll come to me. But,
who was that guy? Who was that guy?
I'll get him. believe it's shameful that I can't come up with them. But one quick thing about Gore was running behind a lousy offensive line. Remember the Niners maybe at one of their lowest points in franchise history. Singletary was coach. This guy Jimmy Ray, who I think had been a great offensive coordinator, a great offensive mind in his time, clearly had not evolved and was not the most creative play caller for the. He came out and said during the preseason, like, we're going to run 2/3 of the time. We're just going to we're going to smash mouth football. It's going to be Frank Gore, Frank Gore, Frank Gore. And the first game they played, I think it was on the road in Arizona. Arizona just loaded the box and waited for Frank Gore and like held him to like -12 rushing yards because they knew that they were going to. I mean, the Niners a telegraph. We're going to go old school football. Like, all right.
He was in the pro set, right? The 2 running backs in the backfield, 2 tight ends.
Handing the ball up the middle. Didn't work. Let's do it again. Didn't work. Let's do it again. Didn't work. And then Alex Smith would throw some pass, or Tim Rattay, whoever it was, would throw some pass on 3rd and 15.
Mm-hmm. Or Smith would get sacked, right? He would just get destroyed back there. So when you were covering during those bleak times, let me ask you this as a journalist: what is it? Is it not? I would say easier, but when they're really bad versus when they're really good, is it the same for you, or does it show up differently? Not your writing style, or just how things evolve.
That's a good question because I had just covered the Giants for the previous 3 years, and they had just gone to the World Series. Mm-hmm. And that was the last game I did as a beat writer, and they did football. And so I just covered a winning team with Bonds and Kent, so that they were not quote machines regardless of the record, but to cover the Niners. And I think I was really bad about covering a bad team because I was thinking as a storyteller and as a journalist, like I wasn't thinking like the fans were thinking. They want to know, why do they suck? What's going wrong? How's the locker room? Why is this prospect failing? What are they going to do? Like, they wanted to know, like, and I'm just going like, here's this, they drafted this guy and here's his hometown, and readers.
They're like, why does our team suck?
Well, that had worked with the winning team. Like, here's this new player. Want to find out about his background. How did he get here? So I wasn't very good at covering a bad team, and I did learn over the years how to make an adjustment. And it's just like, write about what fans want to know. Write about what they, get the polls, listen to sports talk radio. And I didn't do that. I was just writing stuff that I thought was interesting, but they wanted something to be mad about. And there's lots of stuff to be mad about. So for example, Jimmy Ray was a bad play caller, but I was fairly new to the NFL and hadn't seen that many good ones. So I didn't spot the difference right away, but I should have been like, who is this guy and what, really what's going on here? And is this, because later there are stories about it. Like, he was so, I don't want to sound ageism, but his style had been, he was a very slow talker. So he would never finish the play call over the radio. They signal in the plays and call in the plays. He was like, 32 trap right.
Yeah.
Double power. Like, hey man, you got to belt this sucker out in a rapid fashion because you got to tell the quarterback, and the quarterback's got to tell the huddle, and then they're gonna, So that was a repeated thing. They do get a lot of delay of games or wasting timeouts because Jimmy Ray was halfway through his play call.
Oh my God.
Stuff like that. If I'd been more savvy, had more experience, I could have really. I let the readers down by not telling them more about that.
Well, you're also fortunate though that you're in the Bay Area, as opposed to say Philadelphia. Literally the Eagles, right? They get to the playoffs after winning the Super Bowl last year, destroying the Chiefs. Yeah. They get there and they literally want to run that offensive coordinator guy out of the building. Yeah. And they were successful in doing it.
They were booing during a fairly close playoff game because often they were booing at home in a playoff game. So no, you have correctly identified. Having covered baseball, NFL, so I've been to all the cities, right? And growing up, I was that New York's the tough sports town, and it is. But Philly got a little more edge. That is a different vibe. That is a different vibe.
And I think they live up to their names too, right? They live up to that reputation.
The
guy that got tased. Remember him running on the field?
Well, there was Taste, and there was the other guy who ran into the pole on the subway station. Remember that one?
Yeah,
Train
so
station.
dumb.
I will say though, for Niners, we get the laid back kind of thing, but it's as you and I grew up in a different era when the Giants went 17
Terrible.
years without making the playoffs.
Yeah,
They made it in
terrible.
71 and they made it again in 1987, and
Right.
like making it to the World Series was a pipe dream. And then they won 3 World Series in 5 years, and then and now people are mad all the time. Like, what's going on? They suck. Like, let's go fire Bochy. And like, man, do you know what it was like before Bochy? And it's the same thing with
that
the
was
Warriors.
the worst move ever.
And the Warriors didn't make the playoffs they had the longest playoff drought, and they made it. They won some championships, and then now everybody's back to being fire Kerr. What are they going to do with Curry? Get Draymond out, and if you're a diehard fan, you're going to have some frustrations, but there should be someone where like, hey man, they gave me the championships in my lifetime, which there are Giants fans who never got that before, and
I would have had Bochy there forever, dude.
Yeah.
Bochy should have been able to go wherever he wanted in the city, got whatever he wanted in the city, right? I think, and then see what I want to see what you think. I believe that the 49er fans during the dark ages there I just named them, right? Singletary, and I mean, it was just terrible.
Yeah.
That I think Kyle.
My first coach.
Oh, Dennis Erickson. Chip Kelly was, all those guys. And then Mike Martz was running around doing things. Yeah. It was so bad. I believe because of that, Kyle is untouchable because he gets the Niners to the playoffs a lot. And the times that he doesn't, you can literally see it's like an entire strata collapse. And this year should have been the same as last year. Entire strata collapse. Yeah. But he got the Niners to the playoffs and actually won a game. You don't do that if you have a shitty front office, shitty coaching.
Right. Won a road game against the defending champions. And granted, they look pretty freaking lousy, but the Eagles did. But there's the people are spoiled, and people are angry at Shanahan. There's some unrest there because he's never won the big one. He didn't win it as offensive coordinator. He didn't, there's some gaps in his resume, and people get mad about that. So I think he's a great coach. If he's one of those guys, if they fired him, he would be hired like by the time he could walk out the door, he'd be hired by somebody else.
Like this.
Yeah.
Just like John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh got fired out of Baltimore, and then he's now with the New York Giants. That's not good for NFC teams.
So yeah, it's I'm looking for the Niners guy. They got Cody Pickett. Remember Cody Pickett?
Oh,
he was briefly the quarterback.
Oh. Wasn't Mike Tomsula a coach as well during those dark ages?
Jim Tomsula.
Yeah,
he was. That's a weird one for me because he was a beloved guy and very successful linebackers coach, and people loved him, and he brought this fire and energy. And he had a disastrous, press conferences shouldn't matter, but his first press conference was he was babbling and just lost. Apparently, he'd gotten no sleep because he was up a lot the night before, and he was
all worried.
Disaster, and he never recovered. I think he lost the confidence of the locker room by the time he was into his 4th sentence that day. It was just so bad.
Oh, no. Yeah. Wow. I don't even remember that one. It's pretty good.
You don't remember? Yeah, no, that was a bad year. He gave way to Jim Kelly. Or Skip Kelly.
So that would be something we should just list all. Anytime someone criticizes John Lynch and Kyle, just give them like Singletary and who was the Q at the time, right? Tomsula and who was the Q. Chip Kelly and who was the Q.
Yeah. And
then they would be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't say shit about Kyle or Brock anymore.
That's the thing. I don't know. I think being a fan, maybe growing up and seeing a lot of losing makes you a little bit more understanding when you're not winning the championship every year.
Yes. And remember, Dan, we saw losing. It was always losing. The Warriors were always losing. Yeah. The Giants were always losing. And the Niners prior to 1980, they were always losing too. 2 and 14, 2 and 14.
Remember the Niners franchise was born in 1946, and the Giants moved from New York to San Francisco in 1958, and it wasn't until 1981 that either one of them won a championship.
Yeah, you're right.
The city was known for not being able to win the big one.
No.
JT O'Sullivan, by the way, is the UC Davis quarterback. JT O'Sullivan.
Hey, you know what?
Who, by the way, now is a terrific. He's one of those guys who analyzes film on the internet, and he has an incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, you know. Okay.
Yes.
He's terrific at it.
We got to have him on our show.
We should.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
We'll call it the UC Davis. UC Davis talk. We'll temporarily change these guys to UC Davis uncovered. I don't know.
That'll be a ratings bonanza.
So this is going to be great because JT O'Sullivan, he is awesome. He breaks down the tapes, him and Chase Daniel. Right? It's all these guys that you remember them as quarterbacks. I remember them sort of because you would always have to have a backup, and they were decent backups because they were always around. So you'd always choose them as backups in fantasy, but they are like film gurus now. They're like, oh, look at that. This guy's running a dagger route and this guy's running a post. And I have no idea why they're doing 2 daggers over here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's good stuff. So I'm going to make a note of that. When the off season, I'm sure he would love to come on our show.
Yeah, I think he had like I remember this right. He had a 300-yard passing game at Seattle one year.
Huh.
He had some good games. He was good.
Yeah. Okay, before we move on to our journalism question and then the Hall of Fame, what are your predictions for this weekend's NFC Championship and AFC Championship games?
Seahawks over the Rams. The Rams were my pick. They were not my pick at the beginning of the season. Remember my horrible Super Bowl prediction preseason? I picked the Bucs versus the Chiefs.
Okay.
That seems unlikely at this point, I would say.
Yes.
And then I also said that what's the kicker? I said was going to have a good year.
Jake Moody.
Yeah, Jake Moody.
Jake Moody was going to have a good year.
Well, listen up. Here's how the conference championships are going to go. I love the Rams. I think Stafford's incredible. Having seen that Seahawks defense the last couple of weeks at home in that atmosphere, in that stadium, I think that it's the end of the road for the Rams. And I think that I'm going to say Denver for the same reason. I know I got it.
Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to say Denver. Let's.
Okay.
I don't know what the line is on that game. But the defense, I know the quarterback's hurt. Bo Nix is out, but the defense is a defense. They're playing at altitude in a crazy stadium, tough place to win. And I think Stidham is a pretty good backup quarterback. I think he'll play well.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. Odds for championship games. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think the Patriots are going to, the Seahawks are going to win that. They're just too good. And Darnold will make a mistake, but so will our friend Matt is over there. So, okay. So the Patriots are favored by 4.5 points.
They're right.
So that's good. Hey, one of our highest watched videos was about a year ago when you were making the predictions on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you said the Eagles, watch the Eagles. You said, don't sleep on the Eagles. And that was one of our most highly watched videos. And
I think I also think I said the Chiefs would win.
You did. But the video that got the most views was when you said don't sleep on the Eagles. Yeah. Okay, but then we did have your
let's just keep editing like that and I'll be fine.
See, you're good like that. Okay, so they're saying that the NFC Championship is going to be closer. The Seahawks are favored, but only by 2.5.
Yeah.
And you know as well as I do, when odds makers make their odds, they automatically give the home team 3 points. So what this is actually saying is the Rams, well, you know that the Rams are pretty damn good. So it's almost playing as if it's a draw. So
Yeah.
that game I
Which is,
wouldn't touch with a 50-foot pole.
which by the way, some of these games have been like the Denver Buffalo game. That was down to the wire. That Bears Rams game was down to the wire. These coin flip things, like these odds are like,
Yep.
I mean, they're coming down to the final seconds, and
Yep.
it's
Yeah. Dude,
so
that Broncos Bills game.
yeah.
Wait. No, sorry. It was the Patriots Bills, right? Patriots
No,
Bills?
it was Bills Texans. I mean Patriots Texans.
Okay. What was the game that the Bills guy made that catch?
That was
It
Bills
was the
Broncos.
Broncos, right?
Yeah.
And then he stole the ball. That
Yeah.
one broke the internet to prove that the NFL is a simulation.
Yeah.
You see all those videos that came out with that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, the Broncos would be a great story.
Yeah. I had I do fantasy football playoffs, and I had just a ton of Bills. So at some point, yeah. So that was not my favorite refereeing I've ever seen.
That was it was so insane. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Let's move on to our journalism segment. We have a really interesting question here, and I really want to know your answer on this one. So here we go. It's from our friend Jonas over there at the UCLA Daily Bruin.
Go
Love that
Bruins.
paper.
Go Bruins.
Right there. See? There he is. Joe Bruin there. Okay. I know that the question is, I know that there are quote unquote press pools, whether you cover sports or politics. Is there camaraderie or competition? Do you guys make fun of the worst one there? Is there an initiation like in National Lampoon movies?
I love this question.
Yeah.
I love this question. First of all, go Bruins. There's a lot of really good sports writers in the Bay Area who are from UCLA. And Killian, Brian Murphy, Art Spander. UCLA has been a good is producing some talent, some all-timer talent. So go Bruins. Is there okay? So it's an interesting thing. I had to learn this on the fly, which is when you work for an office or if you work for a company, if you work whatever, you have coworkers, you have teammates, you have people who are on the side. You might not like them all, but you are on the same side trying to do the same thing and make the company better and all this stuff. When you cover sports, most of the time, the people around you are enemies, competition. They are the people you're trying to beat. They're the people you're trying to stick it to. You're trying to outdo them. You are not on the same side. You cannot share information. A big game, a paper, an outlet will send 3 or 4 people to, but sometimes you're the only person there. And so you are. When I covered the Giants, when I covered the Niners as part of a beat crew, the scrum, the press pool you're talking about, it's the same 6 to 7 writers, and then sometimes you get the TV people rotating in and out. So, are you friends? Are you enemies? Is there spirit of competition? I have seen it both ways. I've seen it different ways, and I've heard of people they don't talk to each other. They don't. They're so hostile. They don't get along personally. Maybe their outlets are real rivals. They do not mess, and there's genuine animosity. Wow. When I was on the Giants beat, it was a little bit of a mix. There was definitely a healthy competition. There was definitely some simmering feuds. The personalities were
simmering feuds.
Big. There were simmering feuds. There's stuff.
Like a reality show. I love it.
Yeah, there's stuff they would joke about. The time Nick Peters, who covered Sacramento Bee and he was probably 70 at this time and had been covering the Giants since the 60s, and this is 2000, and he and Joe Roderick of the Contra Costa Times got into it, and I wasn't there, this was a year before I got there, but Joe bolted out of his press box seat and said, "I'm not afraid of you, old man." So every once in a while, in the years after that I was there, somebody would bust out of that, "I'm not afraid of you, old man."
That's pretty funny.
When I was on, there were different, very weird and I don't want to say volatile, but there were colorful personalities. And throughout the course of my 3 years there, every year I would be feuding with somebody. I would have a grudge. I would have a fight. I would have.
Whoa. Okay.
And sometimes it's not even over the work. You're just sick of each other in the same proximity. But
Yeah.
also throughout those years, like those people are all still my friends. I mean, the great Nick Peters has passed on, but I'm still friends with all of them. And admire when they talk about the worst guy. I was the worst guy, and if they were making fun of me behind my, well, they made enough fun of me to my face. I was going to say behind my back, but I wasn't. I worked hard. I wasn't. I was after a while. I was the second worst guy and the third worst guy, and I kind of moved. And then there were new people coming in. They were the worst guy.
And then you're like, yes.
But then on the Niners beat, they have then and now the greatest collection of personalities. They're the most likable, admirable, funny, gracious people. And the competition, the way to make it work in that circumstances, don't talk. People said, don't talk about what you write. Don't talk about who had what. Don't talk about your story. Don't talk about what you're working on. Everybody reads everybody. There's no reason to talk about it. But
Oh,
going
there. Oh, there you go. You're back.
okay.
You're back.
So those Matt Mayoko. My niche in getting, when I was on the Giants beat, my way of getting news, which wasn't that much, like I wasn't that good, but whatever I got was because I was normal, and Brian Sabian is like I used the I was the shy, quiet guy who didn't rabble rouse or whatever, and I could really talk to him.
Yeah.
And everybody else was their personalities were more complicated. Let's put it that way. And Sabian got
rabble rousers.
Yeah, they were just everybody's white. They just got
Ira Miller.
Irascible. Oh yeah, Ira Miller. But so when I got to the Niners, I'm like, oh, I don't know, I don't have any sources, but I'll be the polite normal guy, and I'll get sources. Like, oh, Matt Mayoko, Matt Barrows, Eric Brandt, whoever who's been on that beat, Cam Inman, they're such nice guys, and they're such funny, great communicators. Like I was kind of the a-hole of the group. Like my thing was gone. So
you got belligerent there after the Giants. You're like, I'm incoming here.
Yeah. Like I'm gonna come in and just.
You're like that young arrogant punk.
I need a new shtick because I can't. Anyway, there was a beat where you could work alongside each other and compete in a healthy and productive way. Mm-hmm. And so the answer to the question is, I don't think there's like any group dynamic. I think it's different. I think you should strive for the healthy competition, healthy respect is probably the best line. But it's not, you can't even set the tone. It's these established writers who set the tone for the beat and that dynamic. And if you're going to fight, it's going to be a long time because you spend more time with those people than you do with your family because you're gone. You're on the road all the time. And I've been
in the same hotels and things like that. You guys pretty much stay in the same
restaurants, and I had I won't use the names, and well, I will use the name. What the hell? When I worked at the Mercury News, Skip Bayless was my teammate for a while. We know how volatile. I really like Skip. Skip
fun.
Great. Yeah. We would carpool. He lived kind of near me. We would carpool the games together, and he's the same guy off the air, but quieter. Like he still has his kind of outrageous takes on things. But he wouldn't yell. We could just talk like normal people.
Yeah. He wasn't yelling his hot takes at you.
But I was like, one time I was going to go out with Skip to dinner in Green Bay and asked another guy who was a teammate, one of us, and say, hey, you want to go grab dinner? And say, sure. And then Skip bowed out because even though we were all from the same place,
didn't like that guy.
There was like some feud I didn't know about, and like,
wow, yeah. Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a great question.
It's still high, it's still high school. Let's put it that way.
So that was what I was gonna hit on Jonas's part about the National Lampoon stuff. Did they prank you? So as a new guy, did they prank you? Did they like? I guess like I don't know what they like scotch tape all your pens down and your computer down or something. Or
I will say they pranked me, like I would say a couple times they burned me because I was so naive. And I think I might have told the story on this podcast before, but there was a situation I had, my first spring training. I didn't know the protocol. It's, by the way, if you wanna win your way over in the press pool, whenever you are, get your first job in that kind of situation, know the protocols, know the etiquette. I didn't know it in full, but there's little stuff you can really rub people the wrong way and show your naivete, as I did. So, for example, if I'm talking to Brock Purdy now in the locker room, it's just he and I talking with the notebook out. You can't walk up and join that scrum, right? I've got a one-on-one interview and you can't barge in. So sometimes as a writer, if you, let's say someone had an ankle sprain and I was clearly talking to them about the ankle sprain, another writer might come over and go like, huh, what do you think? Yeah. And I'd go like, yeah, come on in. Because it wasn't exclusive. It wasn't some big deep conversation. Okay. Like, feel free to join. But if you walk over and barge into that, like, you have violated rule number one, which is like, hey man, I've got this thing, I've got this rapport. You can't do it. Also, just as a rule, you can't write down stuff you overhear in the locker room, which I've seen young reporters do, because like, that's not on the record. They're not talking to you, pal. That's an eavesdropping situation.
You're there with your tape recorder, like.
Wish we could be some good stuff, but you can't do that. There's a kind of a deference to like, hey, let the veteran reporter ask the first question, which
okay.
Sometimes the veteran reporters don't always dig it. Like if it's a horrible loss and it's a little bit like, how do we open this thing? Like the veteran reporter generally knows the best way to break the ice and kind of get going. But you should not, if you're out there on your first day, don't ask the first question. What are the little things you should do?
These are really good. And by the way, this content here for a new journalist going into these pools, I bet you it's the same thing on the political side. The people that cover the president, right? Same thing. Or you're in the state, covering a state. So this is good stuff.
So let's here's another one. Like let's say there was a scrum. There was kind of a schedule. We're all going to talk to Hunter Pence at the same time, and we do it. But some reporter got there late, so he says, "Hey, can I get the notes from you? Can you send me the recording of this?" Well, depending on like if you're just late because you were fucking around, like no, screw you. We all got here on time. If your car broke down or there was a sick pet or something, okay, but don't come barging in, because there were reporters who would come in late on the regular and just say, hey, can you send me the audio from that? Like, no, screw you. Not because like I would probably do it to you as a personal favor. I like you, but you are burning the whole group of other reporters who got there and did their job. So these little things you could, if you don't know like any job, there's 100 little rituals about protocol.
So there wasn't a thing like the first day you showed up on the Giants one or the Niners one that you didn't have to like give the oldest guy there or whatever, like some kind of tribute, or you didn't have to you didn't have to do anything like that.
I don't recall anything like that. That would be weird. But I forgot to tell you that like this sounds like hazing, like, hey, initiation. Here's what the guy was just burning me, which was I didn't know how it worked. So sometimes there's split squad games. Half of the Giants had gone to Tucson, which is about 2 hours from the Scottsdale home. And I heard, I don't remember how, that Sean Estes, who was a good pitcher at the time, had suffered maybe an injury there. So I asked the other guy, like, hey, man, how does that work? Do we wait for the bus and get him when they come off the bus and ask him about his arm? It's like, no, you don't do that. They're not going to talk to you anyway. You just catch up tomorrow at the manager session or whatever and get him in the morning and follow up. I'm like, okay. And I left. He stayed. He waited for the bus. He got Sean Estes
interview.
Yeah. And broke the news. And it wasn't like, got you, new guy. There's a prank. It was like, you dumbass.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And there was another one like that where I knew the owner of the team was going to talk. So I asked the same guy because I'm a
That
moron.
guy again? Oh,
This was much
damn.
later, made it much later in the season when I thought I kind of, and I said, what time's he going to talk? He's like, oh, just be here, be here by 11. But he was talking at 10,
Oh,
so I missed it.
oh.
Anyway,
Reminds me of that. Remember George W. Bush? Fool me once, fool me twice. Ain't gonna fool me twice. Damn.
that's me. So one thing is, this is not a writer thing, but this was a scout. This was a scout thing, and there's a little bit of truth to what he said. It was I can't remember the scout. He was a bull scout. He was very famous. He'd got a lot of. And somebody said, they said at what point, "What's your secret?" And he said, "I eat lunch alone." And what that means is he wasn't blabbing about, I'm going here, I'm going there. Have you seen this guy yet? He wasn't saying, he wasn't sharing. He was like a spy, deep undercover. I eat
Yeah.
lunch alone. I'm out here. I'm doing my job, and nobody else I'm going to interact with because
Steal my stuff.
they might steal my guy.
Scoop. Cool. Wow, this was a great journalism segment.
Good
And
question.
yeah, very good question. And now we get to segue into the Hall of Fame, the baseball Hall of Fame. I caught up on who's in. Any surprises here, Dan? And then we'll talk about your ballot, and we'll talk through your 10 votes. I remember you said you voted for 10 players last week. So, any surprises to who got inducted?
Well, no, in part because we have the Ryan Thibodeau tracker, Hall of Fame tracker, that if you follow his Twitter account, he's got everybody's like votes early. And I love Ryan. What he does often adds to the suspense because as people are right on the edge and they're right on the button. This year, like, it took away the suspense. We kind of knew it'd be Andrew Jones and Beltran and nobody else. So the thing, can I rant instead?
Please rant away, sir.
It slays me that Hall of Fame is now annual pitchforks out day because no matter what, somebody's mad about something. And I'm telling you, like, on an individual level, I get grievances like Beltran, he's tainted by a cheating scandal. Andrew Jones, the numbers for some people are considered borderline, and he had a domestic violence thing. And I looked at two of our best writers, Tyler Kepner, Jason Stark, both wrote about the Hall of Fame results and what they mean. And I looked at the comment section, never do. It was all people mad about everything. Why isn't Bonds in? Why isn't Rose in? Where's Lou? I saw a lot of Lou Whitaker's coming in who wasn't even on the ballot. And
Lou, baby.
I would endorse him all the way. But it's such a weird thing to be mad about that Beltran and Jones get in. It's like, where's Lou Whitaker? Like, not today. So annually, people are upset about who gets in and why. It's the sign of, I think it's a symbol of our society. We're always mad about something somewhere and divisiveness. But it used to be when we were kids, you'd go like, oh, what a great day. Mike Schmidt's in, George Brett, very cool. Like, people have retired, they're in, great day, good for them. What a class. And now, for the longest, I mean, Ichiro gets in with 99.9% of the vote, and the comment section is, who's the a-hole that didn't vote for them? So, like, I'm saying on an individual level, I get some of these things, but it's never like, hey, he was my favorite player, whatever. My other thing is this whole Hall of Very Good thing that's been leveled at this year's class. There's some validity to it, right? We know, for most of our lives, you could watch somebody without looking at WAR and go like, yeah, Randy Johnson's a Hall of Famer, or Gary Carter, is a Hall of Famer, Johnny Bench is a Hall of, like, yeah, no question. Like, just collect. I don't need to look up anything. But this was not this is the thing. This wasn't DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Walter Johnson, Mickey Mantle class. This was Jesse Haynes, Stan Kowalski, Red Faber, Burley Grimes, Epirixie, Herb Pennock. Those are all also Hall of Famers. So this notion that, like, we're watering down the Hall of Fame, it's a Hall of Very Good. Like, no, there's certain thresholds and certain measurements where people are above the line, their careers are above the line. And not everybody's Ted Williams and DiMaggio. And people measure any new Hall of Fame candidate, inductee, by the the Koufax standard, and sometimes it's not someone like that. Sometimes there are tiers within the Hall of Fame, for as much as people say.
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
it might have been Reggie Jackson who said there should be a separate Hall of Fame for the real Hall of Famers. Kind of get that, and it might have been he denigrated Burt Blyleven in some way. And anyway, so let me just give you a quick 2 stats here, and then we'll carry on. But
Yeah, I love it.
players with 400 homers
Uh-huh.
and 10 Gold Gloves. 400 homers, 10 Gold Gloves. Willie Mays, Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Schmidt, Andrew Jones. End of list.
There you go, right there.
Celebrate that
Andrew
career.
Jones. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't mean to dismiss the domestic violence issues and people who didn't vote for him. Like I get it, or are mad because he got in and people look the other way on that. I get it. My issue is, if you look at that case, is he wound up with probation. He and his wife tried to reconcile. Is that a lifetime ban from the Hall of Fame situation? He pled guilty to a lesser charge. I don't think it. I mean, depends on where your line is. It's an odd thing to factor into the Hall of Fame voting, but I get that there's an issue, but not banned from baseball, not banned from the ballot, not in prison for 10 years. Like, is it a, Orlando Cepeda had a marijuana charge back in the day. I'm not equating those 2 crimes either, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you have to look at these things and go, like, is it a lifetime sentence on the punishment?
Yeah.
Beltran works for the Mets now. Like, he's in the like, he's not been banned from baseball. He was not in prison for his, like, I get the people are mad, but baseball punishment, they punished that crime in a way that transgression in a way that I don't find disqualifying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so
they need to have to disqualify everybody that got in prior to 1930, right? Wasn't cheating rampant back then?
Yeah, this guy's, Cobb.
Taylor Perry, he shouldn't be in. He was known to doctor the baseball. So
it's hard, and you people say, like, oh, you just factor in what they do on the field. Well, no, like, if somebody was this is just an extreme example. They blow up a school bus, something heinous. Like, I'm not going to say, well, yeah, but he was great on the field. Like, there's a line where we go, like, absolutely not. This person should not be bestowed upon with this grace. But it's a very personal moral line that you have to go. And I do tend to think a little bit in your way, which is, look, there are retroactively some transgressions that you would find disqualifying, and that maybe they should, like, knock him out of the Hall of Fame. But I don't. I kind of look at the real life, the real world punishment. How did the enforcers, who have all the information, who have weighed all the evidence, who have looked at the full picture of the incident in question, how have they ruled? And in that light, I was able to check the box.
And see, from somebody that isn't as involved in this as you are, obviously you have a vote. I had no idea about Andrew Jones's issues, off the field issues. No idea.
I don't think they made a big stir. Yeah, our Mets writer Tim Britton didn't vote for him and explained that this was his reservation, and I get it.
Okay. Yeah, I did know about Beltran because he was going to get a manager job, and they literally didn't give him a manager job because of that. So I did know about that one.
Yeah.
But again, right, I can reconcile that one with, there are a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that were cheating. Let's just get real about that. Right. And that's the thing. That's why I say about Bonds, yes, he was cheating for sure. There was a lot of other people cheating also. I don't know. I'd put him in.
But you would never tell your kid that, right? You would never say, "Hey, it's okay. Everybody else is doing it."
True.
So that's what, like,
true.
It's such a weird predict. I wish I could vote on DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Walter Johnson, Mickey Mantle. Like, that would make the world a lot easier.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Yeah, for sure. Well, they would even say back in the days, right? Because Mantle was always injured. He was on so much painkillers and greenies and things like that. when greenies were legal back then, right?
Yeah.
You could go to the store, dude, and buy some amphetamines and show up powerful at work.
Yeah, in the 70s, there were jars of it out in the open in clubhouses.
Right.
Or they'd have I didn't know. Did you know that they had coffee that had amphetamine spiked on it?
Amphetamines in the coffee.
And you had to
Hey.
watch for what color coffee pot handle you were grabbing.
You know, that's what keeps our show going, our methamphetamine coffee. Dude, that's crazy. Well, remember back in the NFL days, they were doing lines of Coke before the game because that got them all up and excited. So that being said, Dan.
Yeah, transition out of that.
So you weren't surprised about that. You had said that there was a reservation. This was when we were doing our 12 Days of Christmas, that possibly nobody would have gotten in to the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah.
And if people did take that domestic issue that Andrew Jones had and Beltran cheating, you would have been right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they were helped probably by the nature of the class, that there wasn't slam dunk. What's the baseball metaphor I should use? There weren't home runs, like they weren't sure out.
The ephus ball that everyone would.
Yeah, right. They all required thought in some way. They all required. There wasn't just like that's an easy one. There wasn't Ichiro or Mariano Rivera. There was people you had to kind of make a case for and study I always kind of studied the case just to be sure. But they probably were helped by that because I think people want to vote for somebody. If you're a Hall of Fame voter, you don't want to send in a blank ballot. You want to participate I think it's human nature to want to participate in the process. And I think for a lot of the players on the ballot this year, including some of the people I checked, it wasn't about getting them to the Hall of Fame. It was either getting them some momentum, like pitchers who, Felix Hernandez was a guy I didn't vote for last year. I voted for this year.
Big cat.
And you want to, in some cases, you want to keep them on the ballot because they need at least a 5% threshold to stick around. And one of the problem among the greatest crimes in the history of Hall of Fame balloting is Kenny Lofton didn't make it a second year. He got less than 5% and he got knocked off the ballot. And he's a Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And I think he was on a crowded ballot. I think people didn't understand his career. War and things like that were just coming into the fore. And Lofton, for whatever reason, wasn't probably, among some segments, not valued as much as those who saw him play on the long term. So he just wasn't appreciated enough. And now I think he'd be 80%, 90% vote getter. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I want to vote for. But I didn't vote for Cole Hamels this year. But I looked at that tracker and saw that he was comfortably in the 5% range. So,
so you're okay.
I'll probably get him next year.
Okay. So let's talk about who you did vote for. Did you vote for Andrew Jones and Carlos?
Yes.
Okay. So there's 2 of your 10. So you have 8. And then you voted for El Gato Grande, the Felix.
So yeah. So I didn't vote for him because I thought his peak was too short. And as a Mariners fan, like I saw him as a peak, but his peak was too short. But then this guy named Mike Petrello, who works for MLB.com, wrote a story that argued persuasively that Felix was the best pitcher in MLB over a 10-year span. That he was the best guy. If you look at it, it wasn't like the 80s, the 90s, whatever. But if you take a 10-year segment of his career, he was the best in the majors during that 10-year. And to me, that's the definition of a Hall of Famer. He was the best at his job in the world.
Dominated his time.
That thing for a decade. You're in. But then that got me a little bit of, I don't want to say trouble, but it complicated my process because I also had not voted for Pettit, for Burley, for Hamels, who was first year on the ballot.
Yeah.
But in many cases, their overall numbers are better. Or, if you look at career WAR, if you look at WAR or JAWS, which
they have all sorts of ones.
They have WAR 7, where you can look at just the 7 best years of a person's career. If you look at ERA plus, which is kind of park adjusted, all these things. In many cases, Felix wasn't the best. Like all those other guys were at least very similar on almost every measurement. I wonder if I had that written down someplace. Could go look it up. But I really looked at those things and thought I can't vote for Felix and justify not voting for these others.
Sure.
And there's a kind of a segment among baseball voters and just the general populace who are hardcore fans that we have trouble evaluating pitchers in the modern day because we don't have 300 wins. You're not going to have, Kershaw reached 3,000 strikeouts, but you might never see 3,000 strikeouts again.
Mm-mm.
You don't see complete games. You don't see shutouts. You don't see.
Hardly ever.
Yeah. So careers on the general might be a little bit shorter than they, because everybody's blowing their arms out. Like, so how do you measure greatness in the modern era? I don't know, but I think it looks like Felix Hernandez, where it might be the best guy for 10 years. But it's because if somebody didn't vote for Felix Hernandez, I went and looked at Baseball Reference has this thing. If you call up a player's page, they have something called similarity scores.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You look at, so you can see like who's about in their range, and like Felix Hernandez was with Kevin Appier and Frank Viola and some pitchers that you don't think of as Hall of Famers. Like, well, shoot, what does that do to my?
You're just like, oh no.
John Lackey, I think, was on that list. Like, those aren't Hall of Famers, and Felix Hernandez empirically is similar to those pitchers. And I think sometimes voting for these so-called Hall of Fame good borderline candidates get you in trouble because all of a sudden, like, well, if he's in, these people should be in. And you got to watch out for that because you got to make sure the company that they keep is. I'm going to look at Felix Hernandez real quick and just see if he had any. I don't think he had any Hall of Famers, maybe Jack Morris, but any Hall of Famers on his comp list.
Okay.
And, but would you have voted for him?
For Felix Hernandez, wow. I didn't remember him being that dominant. Now, here's the thing. We had Mike Gimbel on last week, and he is very data-driven. If you're telling me the data shows that this guy was, and let's just say if the data was, it wasn't like some crazy, you know what I'm trying to say, right? That you weren't just like cooking up some data here to just say, oh yeah, ex-Mariner, I like that guy. But if you really had data to back this guy up for 10 years, then yeah, absolutely, I'd have voted for him for sure.
So, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to read you the 10 pitchers listed under the most similar to Felix Hernandez.
Okay.
Cole Hamels, ironically, because they're on the same ballot this year.
For him.
Kevin Appier, John Lackey, Jake Peavy, Dave Stieb, Kevin Millwood, Rick Rhoden, Frank Viola, Bert Hooton, Bob Forsch. Oh. Those are really good pitchers and not a Hall of Famer in the bunch.
So Peavy never made it, huh? Maybe durability. But I remember when that guy was dominant. When he was with the Padres, that dude for I don't know how many years, 4 or 5 years, he was like the dominant guy.
So anyway, those are the vexing things. Is I there are some mostly old school voters who just vote on their gut.
They just check like, oh yeah, I like that guy. Pettit, of course he should be in. Boom.
Yeah, and then so you start looking at the you go down the statistical rabbit hole, and when the case gets, you're looking for clarity. But in Felix, it was not clarity. It was kind of confusing because you could go either way. And I decided, as you mentioned, like, hey man, if the stats show he was the best in the league for 10 years, that's a vote to me. That's my exhibit A. I'm going to hold that up when my vote.
Yeah. So we are. I'm getting another AI guy, and we're going to work with Mike with his RPA stats. It was fascinating to me when he said Tim Salmon, greatest player, like one of the greatest players. Tim Salmon. Now, see, that's another shocking one that I'm like, I remember the guy from fantasy, and I remember he was good, but he wasn't like Mike Trout good. I didn't think.
Wait, is that what he said? I thought he was saying.
He said Tim Salmon, did he not? Or
I think my memory's shot. I have bad short-term memory too, but
he was
talking about that A's player who had ended up in Japan, and Troy Neal,
yeah,
and saying that in the minors, Troy Neal had outperformed young Tim Salmon, who was playing in a more difficult hitters league. Well, Salmon was playing in an easier, more hitter-friendly league and hitter-friendly ballpark, and Troy Neal outproduced him. We're gonna have to go back to the tape.
Yeah, we'll have to go back to the tape for sure. We're gonna chop that one up. I think that's gonna get a lot of views too. But that was pretty fascinating. And then I made my joke, trade Tim Salmon to Mike Trout or for Mike Trout.
For Mike Trout.
Yeah.
I'm looking at just for kicks. I'm looking at similar pitchers to Andy Pettitte because he's another guy. His career WAR is great, but he's got some longevity things. And he played for a great team, so a lot of his win statistics. Okay, so his statistically, his similar pitches are CZ Sabathia, Hall of Famer, Mike Messina, Hall of Famer, Bartolo Colon. This is a very portly group here. Not you, Mike Messina.
Messina was in shape for sure.
Justin Verlander, future Hall of Famer. David Wells, portly.
Oh.
Jack Morris, Hall of Famer, and then Tim Hudson, Mark Burley, Zank Greinke, Kevin Brown. So that list puts him very much safely in a pretty solid Hall of Fame group. Now, some of those, like Jack Morris, I know that selection is derided in some circles, but he's in. So
is Greinke? Is he still? What's his deal?
I think he's eligible next year, and I think he'll get in.
Writers
love him.
He was like, writers love him because of he's like very personable guy, or
I don't know about personal, but he was eccentric. He was fascinating. He was unpredictable.
He's like the Mac Jones of. He was the Mac Jones of the Royals. You gotta like Mac Jones, I must say. I really like him.
My Niners people who covered him a lot loved him.
He's so funny.
He's so funny.
He has a very bright future as a TV commentator, faux show
or open mic night. But no, Greinke's not that guy. He's not a cut up. He's just like unpredictable. He's a genuine free spirit, let's say.
Okay, like a George Kittle then, maybe.
No,
like him. No.
You're talking about you're bringing up like these gregarious personalities.
So he's not. He's just kind of like. So you're talking maybe like a Stephen King kind of guy? Is that what we're?
Yeah, maybe more along that.
Eccentric, right? Like
more like
he lived up in Maine.
Like I'm not sure I like this guy or not, but he's
right. Eccentric.
I want to.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Like you go over to his house and he's got like stuffed animals up on his walls, and
it would be something weird. Yeah. No, I don't. Trying to think if I ever dealt with him, and I don't think I saw. I remember he got elected he selected as the All-Star starter in where was I can't remember, but he came to the press conference just looking absolutely bewildered and wanted to get out there as much as possible, and he's just an odd fellow.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. There's a lot of great content in this show. We did go over, but hey, this is amazing stuff. So we'll wrap it with this. What do you have going on for the week? Like, what is your what's on your agenda? You going to do some football stuff? You going to focus still on baseball? What's going on?
Well, one of the things I want to do is maybe I can't remember if I mentioned this before. You know, the hill, the Niners would always talk about the hill, and Jerry Rice kind of made it famous.
Run up and down the hill.
Roger Craig ran the hill, and I thought about writing for all these people, whatever fans are lucky enough to their team advances and then come down to Santa Clara County and go to the Super Bowl down here. Tell them where the hill is, and give them their chance to run in the footsteps of the Niners dynasty, because that's where a lot of their training. That was their proving ground. That was their training ground, and it's this little hill not that far from my house, and it's called Edgewood Park. And I've run it many, many times, and I just want to run it with those guys in mind, and maybe write like a tourist, like, hey fans, if you want to come check the hill, here's how to do it.
So we'll hope for. Well, I think any of the teams that get in, it'd be a pretty interesting Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, if you're coming in to visit, click on this article right here, right there, and find out where the hill is. Hey, that's a really good idea, man, because people want to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know, you go to Washington D.C. and then you go see the Exorcist steps. That was a thing there.
Yeah.
I've always people, right?
The Rocky Steps in Philadelphia.
Yeah, you come down here to Pasadena.
Yeah.
You go to Doc Brown's house, Back to the Future. Doc Brown's house is right there. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, next time you're here, now, I won't be running with you. You do your run first, and when you're done with your run, we'll go out to an amazing brunch, and I'll take you by the Doc Brown's house.
Well, just as a last thing, but when I was in the Cleveland once, I ran to the Christmas Story house. Where they filmed the Christmas Story. It's on the poster, and they got the lamp out in front with the leg
that he lit the lamp there, and then the tongue got stuck to the lamp. I remember that.
There's a light post. It was a light post.
A light post.
He licked the lamp post.
He licked the lamp post, right?
Anyway, the Christmas house is there. I didn't go, but I ran there. Took a picture, and then was
of course the pointing, right? The pointing. So go follow Dan on the Athletic there. Good stuff. And Dan, always a pleasure. Good to see you. And that was a great. I do love the Hall of Fame stuff. Amazing. And let's have Tay play us out. And I'll see you next week when we do have the Super Bowl formed, right?
But do we have the accordion opalite or whatever?
You know what? Next week.
Yeah, next week.
Wasn't that amazing? That girl's amazing. That was really cool. Yeah. So stay tuned next week. We have a new song to play us